The earliest modern humans originated in Africa. All people, regardless of their current geographic location, are descendants of these early African populations. Populations that settled in the Near East and Europe were also Homo sapiens, who migrated from Africa. They were not distinct from the African origins, but rather part of the broader migration and settlement patterns that shaped human diversity. Discussions about early human populations should recognize the shared origins of all modern humans and the role of migration and adaptation in shaping the diversity we see today. Question. So, really the Bible should say, or the original Aramaic Tafashurit, should say that their people were the original Neanderthals in the Bible, not of Adam and Eve as it states here. In the Aramaic Brita, or Genesis in English? The Brita in Aramaic, or Genesis 1 verse 27 reads as follows. And God created the human being to resemble his own visage, he created them male and female. 28. And God blessed them and said to them, multiply and increase, and fill the earth and its environments, and have authority over the fish in the sea and the birds of the sky, and the four-legged animals and all the creatures that crawl over the earth. Footnotes. 128 Literal Aramaic idiom. God created the Aboriginal man first. The translator Victor N. Alexander, a native-born, fluent Aramaic speaker and translator, from Mesopotamia, Syria, who translated the original, ancient, very old, Tafashurit script, and the original ancient, very old, sacred scribal language of God. Lashana Atika Saprea. Used Aboriginal, referring not to the Australian Aborigine, but people that were indigenous, who lived together in clans or groups, or tribes. The question of how biblical texts align with scientific understanding of human origins is complex and involves interpreting ancient religious texts alongside modern scientific evidence. Here's a detailed look at the key points. Biblical texts and human origins. Biblical creation narrative. In the Bible, particularly in the book of Genesis, the creation of humanity is described in terms of Adam and Eve, the first humans, human beings, with the spiritual gifts they were created with as the created by God. This narrative does not align directly with modern scientific understandings of human evolution. The description in Genesis 1 verse 27 and 128 speaks of God creating humans in his image and instructing them to populate the earth. This religious text reflects the cultural and theological perspectives of the time. Aramaic and Hebrew texts. The original texts of the Bible, including the Hebrew Old Testament and Aramaic sections, describe the creation of humans in a theological context rather than a scientific one. Terms like Aboriginal in translation may be used to reflect the idea of early humans but do not directly correspond to specific scientific classifications or discoveries like Neanderthals. Scientific perspective. Neanderthals and early humans. Neanderthals were a distinct species or subspecies of the genus Homo that lived in Europe and parts of Western Asia. They are not considered direct ancestors of modern humans, but were contemporaneous with early Homo sapiens. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, evolved in Africa and migrated out to other regions, including areas where Neanderthals lived. Early humans who migrated to these regions interacted with Neanderthals, and there was some interbreeding. Evolutionary biology. Modern evolutionary biology shows that Homo sapiens share a common ancestry with other hominins like Neanderthals. However, Homo sapiens are a distinct species with their own evolutionary lineage. Interpretation and context. Religious interpretations. Religious texts like the Bible are often interpreted within their own theological and historical contexts. They provide insights into the spiritual and cultural views of early societies, but do not necessarily reflect scientific descriptions of human evolution. The biblical account of Adam and Eve can be seen as a theological narrative. explaining the origin of humanity from a religious perspective, rather than a scientific one. Cultural and historical context. Ancient texts and translations often use language and concepts that reflect the understanding of the world at that time. Terms and descriptions may not align directly with modern scientific classifications or discoveries. Summary. The Bible's description of human creation is a religious and theological narrative rather than a scientific account. It focuses on the spiritual significance of humanity rather than the specifics of human evolution. Neanderthals and other hominins are part of the scientific understanding of human evolution, which shows that modern humans evolved in Africa and migrated out to interact with other hominin species. The interpretation of ancient texts like Genesis should be understood within their historical and theological context. They provide valuable insights into the beliefs and values of early societies, but do not directly correspond to scientific findings about human origins. Migration out of Africa. Modern humans began migrating out of Africa in multiple waves, starting around 60,000 years ago, though there may have been earlier migrations. This migration led to the colonization of Europe, Asia, and eventually other parts of the world.